I'm not gonna lie guys, this could be my biggest unboxing in a little while. So if you've seen the latest episode of Shelve It or Scrap It, you will know that I am now making myself read the same amount of books as books that I've hauled in the previous month. So that means that this is going to be the minimum amount of books that I need to read in March. And a lot of these are actually pre-orders. So it is a case of having ordered them like months ago, not knowing that I was going to implement these rules, and then now having major regrets. 2 of them though are sequels, so I'm not mad that I ordered them. I'm just mad that they're here like right now. So to run through what I'm going to be showing you guys today, we will start with those pre-orders, I guess, because I have the Waterstones edition of Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. I also have the Goldsboro edition of the sequel to 5 Broken Blades. Is it called 4 Broken Realms? Maybe, which I'm hoping to read in February. And then we also have the monthly subscription boxes. So I have my usual 4 rep packages, and actually thinking about it, I've just realized that one of these is a double and I counted it as a single because I forgot. So how many books do I have today? 6, 7. Yay. But for the rep packages, I do of course have all 3 of Fairyloot's monthly subscriptions. So I have the January young adult box, and then the January Romantasy and adult combo box. If y'all are unfamiliar with Fairyloot, they are a UK based subscription box service. They have 2 book only subscriptions, which is of course the Romantasy, which is a brand new Romantasy release, and the adult, which is a brand new adult fantasy release, that both come in exclusive editions. And then they also have their young adult box, which I think you can also get a book only version, but the standard box is a brand new young adult fantasy in an exclusive edition and a selection of Bookish goodies. And all 3 of these were sent to me from the guys over at Fairyloot to show to you guys, so thank you very much to Fairyloot for that. And then my other rep package is my January Illumicrate. So like Fairyloot, Illumicrate are a UK based bookish subscription service. Every month you get a brand new fantasy or sci-fi release in an exclusive edition, and also a selection of Bookish goodies. And once again, I do think they also have a book only version. But if you would like to get your hands on your very own Illumicrate after watching this video, you can use my code Becca5 to get a discount on a 3 or a 6 month subscription. And of course, like with Fairyloot, a big thank you to the team at Illumicrate for sending this one to me in exchange for an unboxing video. And then the one subscription that I've paid for myself this month is the January Locked Library. This is a Romantasy release, I think. I'm actually not too sure because the book that they've included in their Romantasy subscription this month, which I haven't got, I've skipped, seems more like a cozy fantasy, not what I would consider fantasy romance. And this, from what I can tell or what I've heard, I feel is more fantasy romance leaning. So I'm unsure what's going on there, but this is one that I low-key had my eye on. I think it's a pretty hyped release for the coming year, and so I was thinking about it anyway, and as it was a book in this subscription, I just got the January subscription. So we will start with the Locked Library. I'm intrigued about this edition. As we all know, I have been kind of unimpressed by Locked Library editions recently. Some of them are great and some of them are not. So it's kind of like taking a risk getting the Locked Library at this point, because I know that there's like Waterstones editions and stuff with this book. So it's just taking a chance that the Locked Library one is going to be a good one. Although I can't remember if I've been spoiled for this one, and I think it is okay. Oh, that's a choice color-wise. I don't know. So this is The Blood of Hercules by, is it Jasmine Maz? Is how you would pronounce that name. So I will overlay the original cover over the top so that you guys can see the difference. It's not that I thought that the original cover was stunning or anything, like it's a book cover. I don't really have any positive or negative opinions on it. Black and red to me screams like paranormal romance. That is not the vibe that I was expecting from this book. The stenciled edge is nice. It's not the most intricate thing I've ever seen. The end papers are really nice, and I like the character art and the art style on these, and they are the same on both sides. The back says, do you have what it takes to become a god? I actually can't remember what this is about. The under dust jacket is okay. It's an okay edition. I hate being negative. I honestly do. I shouldn't have started with this one. It's an edition of the book, and I didn't love the original cover, so the Waterstones edition was also fine. All of the special editions of this I've seen have been fine. This one is also fine. It is not one that I would have picked off a shelf based on its appearance. I don't think it's necessarily better than the original cover or any of the other editions. It is fine. I feel like the roses and the color palette are a choice because it screams like paranormal to me, but then also we have, it looks like these guys could be shifters or something, but that's just my assumption kind of based on the art going into this with no knowledge. But I will read the dust jacket so that we can get a better scope of this plot, because I don't know too much about it. I only know the bare basics. But it says, step into the Colosseum at the Spartan War Academy, where monsters are made, immortality is won, and even a god can die. Alex Hurt isn't a hero, and she certainly isn't a god. All she's ever been is a survivor. The fates disagree. When a blood test leads to her admittance at the Spartan War Academy, she'll have to do more than merely survive. Alexis will have to claim her birthright, immortality. But immortality is a privilege, one earned in the crucible of the academy, where the heroes are villains and classrooms battlegrounds. While unyielding gladiators Achilles and Patro hone her into a warrior, her professors, the two brooding heirs to the underworld, haunt her steps and her thoughts. Because where there are gods, there are bound to be monsters, and there is more than one hunting Alexis. And this is book 1 of the Villains of Law series. So I love me like an ancient Rome or like a Roman Empire kind of fantasy story. And I also like ones that contain things like war academies or magic schools. I knew this did have one of those elements, but I couldn't remember whether it was like a series of trials or a school background. The only thing that I'm potentially concerned about with this book is that it does sound a little bit like Zodiac Academy, and that is a series that I did not like, but I did select this one because I do expect to enjoy it, and fingers crossed I do, although the edition is not... it's fine. It's not spectacular. Let us go for what will hopefully be a win. I actually can't. Oh, I do. And I have been spoiled for the edition in this book, so I know that it's one that I like very much. So we will go for this. The last few Illumicrate books, while they have been pretty, have not been books that I would have picked up for myself. Whereas this one, it's a cozy fantasy, which makes me a little bit nervous because cozy fantasy can truly go either way for me depending on my mood. But it sounds interesting. I don't want to say in spite of it being a cozy fantasy, but the fact that it is a cozy isn't putting me off, you know? So the theme for this month is fantasy emporiums, and here are the spoilers if you guys would like to pause and take a look. And the theme for next month is You Made a Rebel. Not thrilled about the book pick for next month. Very much so. Not thrilled. But I mean, I guess it is what it is at this point. But I will be going in blind as always. And the first thing we have is a blanket. I tend to use subscription box blankets as pet blankets, so they always come in handy for me. This one is the Midnight Bridge blanket, and it is inspired by the book of the month, which is Watermoon by Samantha Soto Yambao. Yambao is the pronunciation that I've heard. Samantha Soto Yambao. As usual, when it comes to blankets, you are about to get a better view of this than I am. This feels like quite a big one, but I'm not sure if it's because it's been folded as opposed to rolled like they normally are. I like the color palette. It reminds me a lot of the Fairyloot edition of Heavenly Bodies that came in the last month's Romantasy box. Can I even hold this? I'm not sure which way it goes. Y'all are gonna have to help me out here. It said it's a bridge, so I think it goes this way. Yeah? Is it pretty? Oh, it is pretty. I like the color scheme. Let's just drape that over. The next thing we have is a trivet. One of my favorite things to get in subscription boxes is kitchen items. I have a Belladonna trivet that I really like. I can't remember if that came in the Illumicrate or the Fairyloot. This one is inspired by Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry, so it feels like we've gone for like a cozy fantasy theme with this one. This is what it looks like. I haven't read Legends and Lattes yet, so this will probably mean more to you guys than it does to me. But it says, well, nigh to Thormic line, the Scalvet Stone of Fire draws the Ring of Fortune, aspect of Heart's Desire. It means nothing to me, but it's pretty. Next up, we have Poison Garden mini bud vases inspired by This Poison Heart by Kaylin Barron. This is intriguing because I have absolutely no idea what that means. Oh, are these like single stem holders for like if you have, you know, just like a single rose. This is an interesting idea, and it's not something that I've ever seen in a subscription box before, but for me, I don't know how useful this will be. I'm honestly not a flower person. I tried to be a plant girly for a long time, and honestly I only have about 5 left because I just cannot keep them alive. Actually frustrates me because I see people neglecting plants all the time and the plants thrive, and mine, just no, they're not good. They're not doing well. This is great though, because I was actually just talking to my patrons about how I need a new tea strainer. This one is inspired by Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Fairyloot, which I have very sadly DNF'd recently. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to make use of this tea strainer, because it sounds like the kind that I actually wanted as well. Yes! Oh, this is a good one. The one that I have is like a rubber Loch Ness Monster one, and I just don't feel like it's as holy as I need it to be because it's made out of like silicone. Whereas this one is in the shape of a teapot, which is really cute, but it's also one that dangles in your cup, because Fairyloot have also done some that sit on top, and depending on what cup you use, like that's not always ideal. Whereas this one is a mini tea bag, it's metal, it's perfect, and it is going to save me money. And it also has a little thing to sit on so that you can, oh, and the chain goes in. The design on this is impeccable. Very impressed. And the last item in the box, so definitely going to be my favorite. So then we just have the book, which as I've already mentioned is Watermoon. This is an exclusive cover as well. I do actually like the regular cover of this quite a lot, but this one is the Illumicrate, and I will of course put the original over the top. I really like this actually. I haven't looked at it closely because when I was spoiled, obviously it wasn't by choice, but I love the like cityscape we have in the background here. Really love the color palette. We have printed edges which match the cover. I've been watching a lot of Asian dramas recently, so the art style of this as well is really doing it for me. Oh, it's a printed hardcover as well, which is also my favorite. I really hope that I love this because, like I said, cozies can be a miss for me, but aesthetically this is on point. So the printed cover underneath, I don't know if I'm the odd one out here, but I prefer printing over foil, and that is gorgeous. My favorite thing about this is the, I want to say the art on the end pages, and also the printed hardcover. I actually would have been interested to see what this cover would have looked like if it was more muted, like the color palette of that printed hardcover, but I still also really like this one. So the synopsis of this is, would you rewrite your destiny if it meant losing a part of your past? On a back street in Tokyo lies a pawn shop, but not everyone can find it. Most will see only a cozy ramen restaurant, and just the chosen ones, those who are lost, will find a place to pawn their life choices and deepest regrets. Hana Ishikawa wakes on her first morning as the pawn shop's new owner to find it ransacked, the shop's most precious acquisition stolen, and her father missing. And then into the shop stumbles a charming stranger, quite unlike other customers, for he offers help instead of seeking it. Together they must journey through a mystical world to find Hannah's father and the stolen choice, through rain puddles, hitching rides on paper cranes, across the bridge between midnight and morning, and through a night market in the clouds. As they get close to the truth, Hannah must reveal a secret of her own and risk making a choice she will never be able to get back. So based on the synopsis, it's not something that I would necessarily identify as cozy. I do know that cozy is a big buzzword right now, so when it's being put on books, it's not entirely accurate. And I did say that it was a cozy fantasy purely based on what I'd heard other people say about it and what I'd seen thrown around. I actually don't know if it is, and synopsis, I mean, maybe it is. I'm not saying it isn't, but synopsis wise, it's not something that I would assume was cozy straight off the back. You just realize that the printing goes all the way around as well, which is cool. I'm very happy with that one. So overall, I would say this is a pretty good Illumicrate box. I like a lot of the items. I also like the color palette and aesthetics going on. My favorite item is going to be the tea strainer, purely because it is what I need right now, and Illumicrate have delivered. But let me know down in the comments what your favorite item from this month's Illumicrate is. So next up, we will do my 2 pre-orders. We will start with the Goldsboro. Did I get 5 Broken Blades as a GSFF book? I think I did. It's a book that a lot of people, like, I'd heard that it was kind of mediocre. Like, I'd heard a lot of middling reviews on it, that it had potential, but in execution, like, it wasn't great. So I went into it with kind of low expectations, and I ended up really enjoying it. And it just ended up being kind of perfect timing, where I read the book like a month before the release of the sequel. So I am, as you will know at this point, trying to read exclusively sequels in February. And while this has just arrived, and while Five Broken Blades is super fresh in my mind, I'm hoping that it is one that I can get to. I actually have Five Broken Blades next to me, so I'm just going to check if I got a matching number on this. Yeah, this is 1,685, and then they only made out of 2,000, and then they only made 1,000 copies of this, so I got 685 because obviously I couldn't have a matching number. But the sequel to this is not Four Broken Realms, it's Four Ruined Realms by Mike Holland. As you can see, they match. This one is an exclusive colorway, so it's the original cover but in a different color, so I'll overlay the original over the top. Printed edges, which, I mean, while this is here, I might as well just show you everything side by side. Oh, it does also come with, aside from the little thing with the number on, it comes with a bookmark, which I can't remember if the first one did, and also a postcard. The end pages are very similar on both, and the cover is foiled. This one's a little bit shorter as well, at 372 pages. That is quite short, actually, where this one is, oh, it's only slightly longer, really. It's 430. So I obviously can't tell you what Four Ruined Realms is about because it's book 2, but I can tell you about Five Broken Blades. So this one is a heist story following 5 people who are down on their luck, who are offered highly sought after rewards, like specific to their particular needs, to kill the king. And so they embark on that mission to do just that. Starting off separately, they start off in like 3 pairs, and then eventually teaming up to try and achieve their ends. Nothing spectacular. It didn't do anything that I haven't seen done before, but it was a very familiar story to me that I enjoy, like a story structure and a story type that I enjoy. Executed relatively well, in my opinion, and I really enjoyed book 1. The audiobook is full cast as well, and the audiobook of both are available on Everand in the UK, which definitely helped and also heightened my enjoyment because I'm a sucker for a full cast audiobook. I also, of course, have Onyx Storm, which is the 3rd book in the Empyrean trilogy. The 1st book, of course, being Force Wings. I have yet, do you want this? There you go. The pull tags on books are Bruce's favourites. You've got it. You've got it. I gave it you. Take this. Yeah, take this. You don't want that. You don't, she doesn't want that anymore. I haven't read Iron Flame yet, but I do have the Waterstones editions of book 1 and 2. This one is actually slimmer than I expected it to be. I think it's quite a bit smaller than Iron Flame. Because obviously I haven't read it. If I remember correctly, Iron Flame is more around 600 pages and this one is 527. But I think a common complaint was that Iron Flame was too long, so maybe it makes sense. But the cover on this is the same as the original. Like all of the rest of them, it just has a edge on it that's exclusive to this edition. Oh, we also have end papers, although I don't know, I think that these are part of it being a Waterstones exclusive. They're the same on both sides. And the hardcover is naked. Once again, cannot tell you what this is about, but book 1 is about a girl who has a chronic illness, who is forced by her mother to join the Dragon Riders quadrant of this war school. So she's originally trained to be a scribe, but her mother, being the leader of the Dragon Riders, forces her onto the path that she expects her children to take, even though Violet does not think that she is physically up to the task. And this is also an area of the school where if you fail a test, you don't just fail, you also potentially die, and she has to continuously challenge herself every day to survive in this environment. And the romance is an enemies to lovers kind of situation. I enjoyed book 1. I'm interested in book 2 and 3. I would love to read them sometime soon, but because I have to read both of them, I cannot promise that that's going to happen, but it would be nice. Okay, moving on to the Fairyloots. We'll start with the YA, and I gotta say, she is a heavy box. I cannot remember what these Fairyloots are. I think I am excited about 2 of them, but I once again cannot remember which 2 they are. We play this game every month, and I need to just stop theme for the YA is Unholy Alliance. I actually think I've been spoiled for this today as well. I saw a reel posted by Fairyloot, but these are the spoilers in case you guys would like to pause and take a look. I'm gonna go in as blind as I can despite seeing everything on social media. The first thing we have is a glow-in-the-dark pin, which is inspired by Bonesmith. That is a book that Fairyloot did in the past that I'm really interested in picking up, but of course I never read anything I actually ever want to. That's cool. I'm not going to test the glow-in-the-dark, I'm just going to take Fairyloot's word for it. We also have this interesting looking fabric item. Oh, is it a tote bag? Oh, it's a little bit of a different shape from Fairyloot. It's a little bit more square instead of being long. I do really like the art style on here. I'm going to go out on a limb and think that maybe this is inspired by One Dark Window. It is. You know what it was? It was the color palette, because when I read the book, it's in this kind of like muted, dark, gloomy color palette. We also have an umbrella. This feels quite weighty. Is this why it's so heavy? I am not going to open this because I don't hate myself. I like that the tag that closes it is plastic. And let's see what we can do without opening it up. Kind of want to say, oh, it's got like acorns and stuff on it here, as well as flowers. And I think that that is pretty much the extent of the pattern. There's nothing else really going on in the middle. It's very pretty. And I actually like that it's kind of transparent because it reminds me of when I was at school. Do you remember when dome umbrellas were all the rage? I would love a dome umbrella right now. I used to think I was so cool. The umbrella is inspired by, I think, the book of the month. It says Cruel is the Light on the little tag. The last main item we have is a Belladonna trinket box. This is a pretty nice size actually. It's nice and wide and it matches especially the Fairyloot editions of the Belladonna series. And then before we get into the book of the month, we have the collectible tarot cards. I think that this deck is coming to the end. I think we only have a couple more months left in it, but we have the 5 and the 6 of planets, and these are once again inspired by the book of the month. I don't know how I feel about, I mean, Illumicrate have been doing it as well, but I think Fairyloot have been doing it a little bit more, including more items inspired by the book of the month. I think that it's good because before that we would typically just get in the same fandoms over and over and over again, but then also my enjoyment of the items could potentially be impacted by my enjoyment of the book. Saying that though, there have been items I've received, I mean literally I DNF'd Tempest of Tea, but I still love this, so it doesn't matter too much. It's just something that I've noticed over the last, I want to say 6 months, that Fairyloot and like I said Illumicrate to some degree are doing a little bit more. And now for the book of the month. It's very much my aesthetic. I feel. Ooh, the texture is interesting. I like it. In the bag with the book, we also have the monthly fairy scoop, as well as the bookmark with the spoiler card art on. And then the book of the month is Cruel is the Light by Sophie Clark. So I love the color palette on this. I also like the texture because it's like just a little bit matte. It feels almost like recycled paper. I'm not mad about it though. It adds a little something something. Epic is their love, endless is their power. I'm already more interested in this than I was to start off with. This one is, I'm pretty sure this is an exclusive edition, so I will overlay the original one over the top. I love the navy and the gold. It feels like slightly Italian, like this is reminding me a lot of the Vatican. We have some like astronomy symbols around, which I'm definitely here for. Custom end papers, which are different on both sides. The reverse of the dust jacket is the original cover. I'm not sure if this is a different colorway. I'm pretty sure it's the same colorway as the original, which the original cover's fine. It's probably not something I would have picked up, but I do really like this like city element of the original cover. Oh my god, and we have, this is a printed unfoiled hardcover, but it is done in a way that I like, where like they don't make each other look busy, like they're quite seamless. And of course, with it being low-key celestial, I very much enjoy it. So this is a book that I had no opinion on when I saw that it was going to be the Fairyloot book of the month. It's definitely one that I wasn't excited for this month, but not because I think that I'm not going to like it. It's just something that I had never heard of. So let's see what the synopsis says. A brutal war between demons and humanity has raged across Europe for over a century. At its heart are 2 elite soldiers. Celine Oliva, a powerful exorcist trained at the prestigious Vatican Academy. So I did. Oh, I wonder how the Christians feel about this. Well, the Catholics specifically. And foot soldier Jules Lacroix. Oh dear. LaCroix. And foot soldier Jules LaCroix, unrivaled in battle. When their paths cross, despite initial distrust, then unwelcome attraction, Jules and Celine discover a terrible secret at the heart of the Holy Vatican City. Soon Jules is forced to question everything he's ever known, including himself. And Celine, unable to ignore her growing feelings for Jules, must make an impossible choice between love and duty. So this one does sound like something that I would actually really enjoy. I think that the Fairyloot edition has definitely made me more interested in it than I would have been originally. And actually, this is definitely set in Rome because the Colosseum's there as well, which I didn't notice on first pass. So yeah, I'm quite happy with this one. So in terms of my favorite item of that box, it's a difficult one. I think it has like a selection of strong items, but none are really appealing to me any more than any of the others are. I will say though, the most useful one to me is probably the umbrella, because I leave these in my car. I leave them like in bags and then I can never find them. So you can never have too many umbrellas in my opinion. Let me know down in the comments what your favorite item from this month's Fairyloot is. And then last up, we just have the Fairyloot Adult and Romantasy combo box. So let's get into this one. Even though I spoil myself for the books, I always get so excited because I immediately forget what the books actually were. This one is quite a small one actually, and it is the Romantasy book of the month. So this is another one that I didn't really have any opinion on when I found out what it was. I'm interested to see what Fairyloot have done with the edition though, because I don't love the original cover of this. And it is the Starlight Air by Emily Howard. So I actually like the Fairyloot edition a lot more. I'll overlay the original one over the top. The color palette I like definitely more on the Fairyloot edition than the original. I thought the original was a little bit busy with the color palette as well. And the edge on here, quite simple. The end pages are foiled and different on both sides, which they're fine. I really like the cover on this. It is once again printed and foiled, but where the foiling is actually quite minimal and just very lightly accents the image on the cover. And then here we go. I think that this could be a different colorway to the original, but I think I don't like the original cover of this because the artwork isn't super defined, and that's just a personal preference thing. I like really clear, crisp artwork, and I think that the art style of the original cover is just not that, which I mean is fine. It also has the bound in letter, like signed letter from the author, which I know I haven't shown you, but I'm pretty sure all of these do have. And the synopsis on this one, buckle up because it's quite a long one. It says, a bladesmith blessed by the stars, a prince with a dangerous secret, a god bound in shadows. From best-selling author Emily Howard comes a scorching new romantasy that will leave you spellbound. His Imperial Majesty King Zarek requests your presence as his esteemed guest. When the royal invitation arrives at Soraya Saab's forge, she believes it's a joke. Nobles might seek her skills as a bladesmith, one of few who can imbue her work with precious Jadu, the last source of magic in the realm, but she has no qualifications as a potential bride for the crown prince. Still, the invitation is a chance at adventure and the means to finally visit the capital her late mother loved. But what awaits her in Caldari is nothing she could have imagined, and it's fraught with danger. It's not the crown prince, but his impossibly handsome illegitimate half-brother Roshan, who draws her interest and her ire. The invitation isn't a quest to find a suitable bride, it's a veiled hunt for the Starkeeper, a girl rumoured to hold the magic of the stars in her blood. And across the city, unrest is brewing between the nobles' houses and the rebel militia. When the rebels carry out a brutal strike, Soraya and Roshan find themselves on the run, trying to deny their Simran attraction and the knowledge that Soraya herself might be the Starkeeper. But Roshan is guarding his secrets of his own, and with no control over the power stirring within her, Soraya has drawn the attention of a dark god, an immortal whose interest might be the biggest threat of all. To save the realm from eternal darkness, she'll have to choose between truth and a lie, stand and fight, or kneel and die. This is reminding me a lot of like The Wrath and the Dawn. I have read it, but it was a while ago and I did unhaul it afterwards. I liked it, just not enough like to keep it on my shelves. So yeah, I'm not overly drawn to it, but it does have potential to be something that I enjoy. And then the final book for this video must be the Adult Fairyloot. I very much like the colour that we are uncovering here on these edges, and the theme for this month, it's got pink on it as well, I love pink and green together, is Rift of the Realms. This is by a Fairyloot favourite author, so I was unsurprised when I saw this was the book, but I have yet to read anything by this author. Oh, I love the cover though. Look at those colours. This is Immortal by Sulin Tan, and this is indeed an exclusive edition, so I will overlay the original over the top. I actually much prefer the Fairyloot version, not just because of the colour, although that very much does play a part in it, but I also really like the design on this. I really like the edges, foiled end papers. I do like the art style as well, and they're different on each side. Under the dust jacket we have, oh, another exclusive cover. So this is not the original cover, it's like a full redesigned art cover. And we have once again a printed and foiled hardcover done in a way that I like. I don't know if the technique of foiling has changed, but it feels more seamless. Like the foil seems a little dull, which sounds like a bad thing, but I actually think it's good because it makes the foil look less obnoxious when it's on top of a printed cover. Although I don't know whether it's because these are more of like a rough type of hardcover as opposed to the smoother, like shinier ones. If you've handled a lot of books, that might make sense to you, but it's the best way I can describe it without knowing any technical terminology. I can already tell from the synopsis that I'm potentially going to struggle with the pronunciation a little bit here, so please forgive me. I have looked it up, but I still am going to struggle. But it says, a deadly betrayal. When Lian ascends the throne of Tianxia, she vows to end her kingdom's obligation to the fickle immortals who once protected them. Dangerous alliance. She must learn their secrets to protect her people, but to do this she will have to forge a tenuous alliance with the one she should fear and mistrust the most, the ruthless god of war. A fight for survival. A treacherous attraction ignites, but dark forces are closing in, and to save her people from an unspeakable fate, Lian must risk everything, even her heart. So that sounds like a very typical fantasy, I want to say YA fantasy synopsis actually. I know that this is the adult book, but it is given like very typical YA fantasy synopsis. I do love Asian inspired fantasy though, so if the vibes are immaculate, then that will be absolutely fine. I mean, like with Five Broken Blades, it doesn't have to be anything unique to be good, it just has to be executed well. Let us see all of these absolutely beautiful books that I'm gonna have to balance. Not only right now, but I'm gonna have to balance them when it comes to reading the same amount in March for Shelve It or Scrap It. But I'm not mad. I regret nothing. Maybe after I've read Iron Flame, I'll regret buying Onyx Storm, but right now I do not regret it. So this is actually quite a good selection of special editions. I'm not going to really talk about the sequels because they're just like matching editions of one that I already had. I didn't buy them because the edition is exceptional or anything, but I think in terms of which edition is my favorite, I don't know. Is Illumicrate going to win this one? It's normally Fairyloot. I mean, just by probability, I get more Fairyloots than Illumicrates in a month, so Fairyloot does tend to win. I think it's one of these two, and I can't pick. I can't choose one. If we went off edges, I prefer these edges. Under dust jacket art, like the naked hardcover and the end pages, I prefer this one. Cover, I prefer this one. It's really hard, but these two are my favorites. And of course, I'm not going to do you guys dirty. We are also going to do the spin, and here are the edges. I'm not being a dick, guys, am I? Like, there is an edition in this pile that is not as good as the rest. And I mean, the Waterstones one, Onyx Storm, pretty simple, but it also, that one is a sequel to a book that was released 2 years ago, so it has to be in kind. And also the Waterstones edition was not extortionate. It was standard hardback price, which has increased dramatically over the last couple of years. But in terms of special editions that I have paid special edition prices for, I feel like there's one that's just not the same as the rest. Like, I don't want to be negative all of the time, especially about the same thing, but I'm also not going to lie to you guys. So in terms of the edge, actually, what's my favorite edge? Oof. You know what? We're going to give it to Cruel is the Light, which also would be a strong contender for my favorite edition of the month. But I feel like Watermoon definitely edged it out a little bit there. So if you guys would like to let me know that you were here, but you don't feel like you have anything to say, please go ahead and leave me a moon emoji in the comments for Watermoon. But aside from that, if you would like to check out any of the boxes that I opened in this video. They will of course be all linked in the description box with their social media as well as their websites. And of course, once again, a big thank you to Fairyloot and Illumicrate for providing me boxes that I opened in this video for you guys. But aside from that, please don't forget to like this video if you liked it and subscribe if you wanna. If you head to my description box, you will find links to my Goodreads, my Instagram, and my Patreon if you would like to join me on any of those. But that is it from me today, guys. Bye!
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you're go and nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.